There is a difference in terms of what the price is going to be to acquire a guy who is a third man in a pretty strong playoff caliber rotation and a depth piece.
That's why you go get Ohtani. Huh?
That's why you just empty the closets and say, take everything you want, and we'll bring Shohei into the city.
Can you imagine the buzz that would initiate here? You go get
it would be unparalleled.
Ohtani?
It would truly be unparalleled. Like I mentioned David Price, and when he was acquired, that was incredible.
Yeah.
And it was, I believe, on the heels of the Tulowitzki deal, but I can't remember which one went first. If Tulo went first or Price went first, but there was like a 48
buzz.
Hours.
Yeah.
Of course. But this would be like the combination of both plus.
That's what's so strange about it.
Like it's Tulo and Price being the same guy plus.
Yeah.
That's what it would be.
Because you're basically acquiring two players.
You are acquiring two players.
Literally.
Yes.
How do you trade someone who is two players?
Well, that would be fascinating to see what that would look like because it obviously has not happened. He came over to Japan. He's been with the Angels, and that's it. But if you were to hit the market and you're the GM in LA,
it's like I need the return for the best hitter in the league and the best pitcher.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to ask for the combination of both. Like Juan Soto, that Juan Soto deal was a monster. Now, Ohtani's going to be a free agent at the end of the year.
That's different. He would term.
And Soto had 2.5 years left of term. So clearly San Diego was willing to pay for it. And obviously we see what's happened since. The Padres and the Mets are a mess.
Yeah.
And they've spent that much money and those many assets to try to improve. But I would think if you're the GM of the Angels, you probably have to attack it like in the form of two different players, basically.
Yeah, literally.
Right? Like day one, we're going to focus on what you think you have to pay for the pitcher, Ohtani, and then call me back tomorrow and we'll talk about what you have to pay for the bat.
I like this.
And then on day three, we'll both kind of conclude if that makes sense. It's a 3-day process.
Well, if I'm remembering right, remember Scherzer got dealt to LA last year, and I think it was for Washington's first and second best prospects. So let's say it's that just for the pitcher. Maybe more because he's better. Is he better?
He's not better than Scherzer. No, he's
okay.
Not.
So the same.
Not like elite Scherzer. Ohtani is not.
I mean last year Scherzer. Well,
he
last
was
year
still
Scherzer was really good. Okay, so
elite Scherzer.
I need your first and second best prospects for the pitcher, and then I need. How do I get more?
Well, that's I don't.
I need a good young player, and then I need more prospects.
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't think the deal can even really materialize because how could you ever feel like you're going to get enough?
But then the choice is you just get nothing.
Well, and that's the way they operate. It's pretty silly.
How about I just get your 10 best prospects?
But I guess that's what I'm saying is you would want to call up a team that has a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, I think Baltimore has a lot. Cincinnati has a lot. But are those teams really feeling like we're all in right now? I don't think they are. So they're not going to trade the pieces for Ohtani for 2 months. And that's what shrinks it. Like what Tampa, would they do it? Probably not. That's not how they operate. Texas, I don't know. What do they have in their system where they'd be willing to do that? Houston, do they still have anything left? I don't know. Minnesota's not going to do it because they're not that good. You know, the Braves. The Braves are a team you'd look at. That's a fascinating possibility.
They just had a monster June. Like maybe they're thinking, like, what do we need?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They have a plus 147 run differential in Atlanta.
Pretty good.
Plus 147.
Who's the GM over there?
The guy who got away.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and listen, Alex will swing for the fences.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to get to here is I think the Dodgers would do it, but I don't know what they have in the system.
Well, they've traded away so much.
Been in on a lot of trades over the years. The Yankees, I don't think are going to do it because I don't know if they would. The Yankees probably would, but I don't know what they'd be willing to give up. Like for the Jays, if you're looking at the Jays, you're talking, is it Tiedemann? Is it Martinez? Is it?
You mean
you just
all
going
of
and going and going? That's what I'm saying. Like at some point, you're talking 3, 4, 5 prospects.
Yeah,
and they're all in the top 7 or 8 in the organization for a guy that very well could walk. That's what just makes it a very difficult practice. It would take a lot of courage to pull that off, and I think it would be mandatory you go to your owner before you pull the trigger and ask your owner, are you willing to pay this guy if he likes it here and he's willing to stay?
Do we have $600 million?
Do you have enough money? And do you have the stomach? where if we acquire Shohei Ohtani and he shows up and he goes, I like this place, and this is somewhere I'm willing to stick around, are you willing to spend the money? Because that would be infuriating if you're a GM, where you get the go-ahead to acquire him. You unload basically everything you have in the system. And then Ohtani at the end of the year wants to stick around, and your owner goes, I'm not paying for that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of owners would say that. So I think 25 owners in the league would just say, I'm not doing that. I'm not, maybe not 25, but at least 20.
It's under 5 who probably pay that price, right? It's the Dodgers, the Yankees, maybe the Rangers.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money recently, though, but possibly. The Giants, I think, would possibly spend on him.
Sure.
I think San Francisco would. I think the Sox of the past would. I don't think this new ownership group would.
No, they just didn't want to pay bets.
Mm-hmm. You know, the Cubs, no. Like, the Cubs ownership is not in that position.
Do you think this is the most unprecedented trade potentially we've had ever in sports?
Because of what we've established, in the last 20 minutes, is that you're acquiring 2 players. You're acquiring 2 players.
But so that's what's so appealing. Like, if you're the Jays, suddenly he's your number 1 starter and he's your number 3 hitter, like in the lineup.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Like, that's what you're acquiring. You're acquiring a guy who's going to get the ball possibly game 1.
Yeah, not possibly.
Yeah. I mean, Gosman has had a great year.
He has.
Gosman's been right there with Shohei on the mound.
MVP, but okay.
Yeah, but MVP because he does both. I mean, he's a great arm. I'm not downplaying it, but I'm just saying you could, if Gosman started game 1, I don't think there'd be a riot in the street.
Fair.
Right?
Okay.
But he's getting the ball. There's no debate if he's on, if he's a part of your rotation. For a 2-game wild card, if that's what it's going to be, he's either game 1 or game 2. And he's going to hit, middle of your order.
Right. Your lineup will go Springer, Bichette, Ohtani.
Shohei, Vladdy. I like the sound of that.
All right.
Yeah. I think that seems pretty reasonable. I don't know why Ross Atkins is, what's he up to? What's he waiting for? And I guess it takes 2 to tango, right? It's on the Angels to realize they stink again. They're a game over 500. They're not going to make the playoffs. And enough is enough.